Okay? We're going to be talking about graphing parabolas. Okay? The types of parabolas that we're going to graph is going to be ones that not only go up and down like we have in the past, but also the ones that go left and right, which we have not talked about yet before. Okay? There's going to be two different formulas for you today to look off of. The nice thing about this section is that they did not do anything as far as shifting goes. So all of our vertexes or vertices are going to be at the origin. Every single one of them is going to be at the origin. So that is going to be a nice thing for you. Okay? So on that note, there's going to be two different types of setups for you. One that looks like this, and the other that looks like that. Those are the two scenarios that you're going to see today. Notice the differences between the two. They switched the x's and y's around. They squared them individually, and so on. This one is the ones that still open up and down. Much like the quadratic ones that you graphed earlier in one of those previous chapters. Remember when you had to complete the square, stuff like that? Maybe you don't have to do any of that stuff today, but those are the ones that open up or down. These ones go left and right. I'm also going to be introducing you to new words like focus and directrix today. The vertex you guys have talked about before. We've dealt with that when we had to use completing the square, where we had to figure out where the high point or the low point was for the parabola. But focus and directrix are going to be something new. Directrix is like an imaginary line that is a line that the thing is never going to cross. Okay? It's going to be repelled by it. It's always going to go away from it. The focus is a point that the parabola will open up to. The focus will always be inside of it. The way I kind of equate it to is that way back in your geometry classes, you guys probably used a compass. You guys remember what a compass is? Compass is a device that's used to draw arcs. A lot of people say circles, but really it's an arc. Focus would be like where you had to put the pointy end, and the vertex would be where you had to put the pencil part to swing the arc. That's kind of what the focus is like. All right? The nice thing about this is the focus to the vertex is the same distance as the vertex to the directrix. And so the focus or the vertex is going to be right in the middle of them. And this letter P that I have right here is going to be that distance. So the letter P is representative of the distance from vertex to focus, or vertex to directrix. That's what that number is going to represent. Okay? So what I'm going to give you today is I'm going to give you problems that say this is what they're going to have you do. They're going to give you an equation. It's going to say graph. Label your focus, label your directrix, label your vertex. Okay? I'm going to show you how easy this can be. This is way easier than the ones you had before. Then I'm going to give you some problems that say come up with the equation given the focus. Then in the last section is going to say come up with the equation given the directrix. Okay, so that's what they're going to look like for you. Okay? So here's the way the problems are going to look to start. With the graphing ones, it's going to say x equals negative 1/8 y squared. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to get the y squared or any squared piece this time by itself. Okay, so anytime you have the squared in there, that's the part that I want you to get by itself. So the first thing we need to do, let's get rid of that negative 1/8. How do I do that? What's the reciprocal of negative 1/8? Negative 8. Good. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 8. And in doing so, I get negative 8x equals y squared. because this would have canceled out this whole thing. And that's a good thing for us. Now, the next thing that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of is, in this particular case, is this one going to open left or right or up or down?
Left and right.
How did you know that, Brianna?
Because y squared is right. So.
Yeah, the y squared. Okay? Because of the y squared, I know it's going to open left and right. Okay? So it's going to be a parabola tilted on its side. So imagine the St. Louis Arch fell over. Right? St. Louis Arch opens down. Imagine it fell over. It's just sitting there. That's what this parabola is going to look like. So on this particular thing then, the next piece of information that I need from you is I need to know what the letter P is. Because that is an important piece. It's the distance. So therefore what you do is, if you look at the regular format, that's 4px equals y squared. So what do you think I do in order to solve for P?
Multiply by 4.
Nope. I put the 4P equal to the negative 8. That's what I have to do. In order to solve for P, I got to put 4P equals negative 8. The number that is in front of the X or the Y, depending on whatever one you solve for, that needs to be set equal to 4P. It's in that position. Once you get that, then we're good to go. The rest of this becomes pretty simple. So if I divide by 4, what's negative 8 divided by 4? Negative 2. So here's how that translates onto the graph. So if I have my axes there, I told you every single one of these things, where's the vertex going to be today? Right at the origin. So I might as well put the V right there. I label them as F, V, and D, and you'll see that here on my picture just so that you know. Focus, vertex, directrix, just so that you know that's what they stand for. Now, when it says negative 2, that means that distance is 2 units away, or negative 2 units. So that means it's going to open which way? To the left or to the right? To the left, because it goes negative. Okay? So that means over here, 1, 2 spaces away, there is my focus. If that distance is 2 units away right here, where's the directrix going to be, do you think?
The same part.
On the other side, right? Now the directrix, though, is not a point like the focus is. The directrix is an imaginary line, kind of like those, we used when we talked about asymptotes a long time ago. It was that asymptote thing where it's there. It's saying, hey, you can't come over here. That's what it's saying. All right? Don't think about it. Don't even try. Get away from my fence. That type of scenario. That's what it's doing. But you guys already told me which way it opens, yeah? Which way should it open, did you say?
Left and right.
Left and right. And in this particular case, then, if the directrix is over there on the right, which that's the D line there, which way should your parabola open? To the left. So then I come in here and I draw my parabola. Did I label my F? Did I label the V? Did I label the D? Yes. In some cases, what they usually do for that, when they label them, they also put the ordered pair that is associated with them. In this particular case, the F would have been at negative 2, 0. Bless you. Because that is, we went left 2. The vertex for every single one of these is 0, 0. And what line is that imaginary line that runs north and south? 2. X equals 2. Because when it goes up and down, it's going to be X equals, and then whatever number it happens to be. What happens if it goes left and right? It's Y equals whatever number that happens to be. Now, as far as the graphing portion, which is about a third of your assignment today, that's what you have to do. That's it. Brianna.
So I forgot to put the directrix.
Why? Because it asked you to label them.
Okay.
I asked you to label those 3 pieces. Okay? And then again, the directrix is like this imaginary line that it's just saying, hey, get away from me. it doesn't like you kind of type of situation.
But like the parabola doesn't touch it?
No. No. It's kind of like one of those things that just repel you. You know, like that don't like you and they just stay away from you. Not saying that that happens, but... Okay. I'll give you another one. Okay. So here's what the problem looks like. First thing I want to know is the x squared all by itself?
Yes.
Yeah. Is this going to open up or down or left or right? Up and down. How did you know it was going to open up or down? That's what the formula is. It's x squared. Okay? So now what I need to know is I need to know that distance, that p value. So I'm going to take whatever number is in front of the y's guy. So in this case it's negative 6. And I'm going to set it equal to 4p. How do I solve for p? What's negative 6 divided by 4? Negative 3/2. Or negative 1.5 or negative 1 1/2. Whichever way you want to write it, that's perfectly fine by me. Okay? Everybody okay with that? All right, now, again, when I'm drawing my picture, my vertex will always be at 0, 0. You said that this is going to open up or down. Which way is it going to go? For sure.
Down?
Down. Because it's negative. It's going to open down if it's negative. It's going to open down or to the left if it's negative, right, up if it's positive. Okay? So how far down do I need to make my focus? 1.5. So there's where the focus is. That's where the V is. How far up do I need to make my directrix then? 1.5. So, in order to label all that stuff, my V was at 0, 0. My directrix was at y equals 3/2, because in this case it went right and left. And my focus was where? 0, negative 3/2. Because I went down. Now what's the last thing I should do? Try to make a parabola that looks decent. Okay. If you wanted to, could you put in more points and more ordered pairs to make it look a little better? You could. Do you have to? No. But you could if you want. Okay. What do you think about the graphing way? That's what you're going to be expected to do. Okay. Then, after that, what they're going to do is they're going to give you an order pair. And the directions are going to say, write the standard form of the equation of the parabola with the given focus and vertex of 0, 0. And it's going to say an order pair like 2, 0. So it's giving you the focus. We already know that every single one of these V's is at 0, 0 today. There's not any difference today. They're all the same. Okay? Now, me personally, I'm more of a visual learner. So for me, I'm going to make a set of axes and I'm going to put those points on there just so that I know which way it's supposed to open. So for me, I go ahead and I put the 0, 0 on there. How do you plot the point 2, 0?
Up to?
Nope, not up to.
Right?
You go to the right too, because the first number tells you right or left, second number tells you to go up or down. So which way should this open? If this is the F, and that's your V, it's going to go left and right, and more specifically, it's going to open up to the right. Okay? So, that's what this thing is going to look like. I don't want to even know the picture. You don't have to draw the picture. It's just for me to know that I'm going that way. So for me, here's what I needed to know for that. Since I know it's going to go left and right, that means it's this scenario. Y squared equals 4px. That's how I knew that. Because it goes to the right, I know I got to have the y being squared. What was the p value again? What does it stand for? It's the distance. How far was it? 2. Right. So guess what we got to do? Y squared equals 4 times 2 times x. What's 4 times 2? 8. And you're done. Now, do some of you need to have the picture? No. Or yes. Me personally, I like to have the picture just because I like to know which way I'm looking at it so that I don't screw it up and accidentally put like the x squared instead of the y squared. But that's all it is. Would you like me to do another one like this? Okay. So again, the vertex is still going to be that same scenario. And if I have 5 halves in 0, and the vertex is still at 0, 0. Again, the vertex is always going to be 0, 0 for every single one you do today. I don't know which way this is supposed to go, so I put 0, 0 on the graph. 5 halves, 0. Which way does that move to start? To the right. So somewhere out here is my f. Now, I don't even really necessarily care that I have it as exactly 2.5 or 5 halves over, because realistically all I care about is which way is it going to open, right? Since I know it's going to go to the right, that's y squared equals 4 times p times x. What value do I put in for p this time? 5 halves. How did you know that, Abby? Yeah. And I don't know if everybody heard her, but what she said was that's the distance from the vertex to the focus. She is right. That is correct. That distance right here is what the p-value is for this thing. So I got y squared equals 4 times 5 halves x. Does anybody know what 4 times 5 halves is? 10. And I'm done. What if the parabola would have opened to the left? What would I have had to do for that 10? Make it negative. What happens if it would have opened down? What would that value be? Negative. Right? Okay? The last part of your assignment is going to be the same type of scenario. The only difference is this time I'm not going to give you the focus. I'm going to give you the directrix. Is it the same scenario? Yeah, it is. So it's going to say things like y equals negative 7. And it wants you to come up with the equation with the vertex still being at 0, 0. Again, I told you guys, and I'm not lying to you, they're never going to be not 0, 0. That directrix would be way down here at y equals negative 7. That's where that one would be. Okay? So, what I want to know is, which way should this open?
Down?
No, it would never, it's got to go up. Why, Isaac? It's supposed to go away from that directrix. Okay? So if the directrix is down below, it's got to go up. It's being repelled. Okay? Kind of like when you were little kids, when you didn't like girls and girls you didn't like boys. And you got repelled by them. Right, Brooks? Yeah. So what I need to know out of you guys then, if that's supposed to go up, then that should be x squared equals 4py. What number is the distance? 7. So when I put 7 in there for p, what's 4 times 7? 28. Is this going to be a positive 28 or a negative 28? Positive. Why? Because it opens up. Right. Done. Did you need the picture? No. Some of you can figure it out without it. Me personally, I can't. That's why I draw the picture, just so that I have a visual representation of it. However, you don't need to draw it if you don't need to. But I like to learn by pictures. So therefore, I do that a lot. Okay. Would you like me to do another one? Is this section very similar to the one with the focus? Yeah. So, just so that you guys know, then starting on page, I think it starts on 623 and goes to 624, 4 to 48, multiples of 4.